Welcome to 5th grade math. In this video, we are going to cover how to add fractions with unlike denominators. Our objectives are to find common denominators for fractions with unlike denominators, as well as to add fractions with unlike denominators using equivalent fractions with a common denominator. By the end of this lesson, we will be able to add fractions with unlike denominators. So this is our vocabulary. Let's start by defining what is a fraction. A fraction is a small part of something or a portion of something. Fractions have a numerator, which is the number at the top, and they have a denominator, the number at the bottom. The denominator represents the number of parts in a whole, while the numerator represents the number of parts that we have. The line that divides these two numbers doesn't have any specific name, but we will call it fraction line. Equivalent fractions are fractions with different numbers representing the same part of a whole. They have a different numerator and denominator, but their fractional values are the same. Let's take a look at the examples with the circles there. We can imagine those are pizzas. So let's say that we are 4 friends together at a pizza restaurant. I ask the waiter to cut my pizza into half. So I represent the first circle. The area that's shaded in red is how much I'm going to eat. So now Susie, who's my friend, asked the waiter to cut her pizza into 4 parts. And she will eat the area that's shaded in red as well. Now Danielle asked the waiter to cut the pizza into 6 pieces. Once again, she'll eat the area that's shaded in red. And Alex asked the waiter to cut the pizza into 8 pieces, and she will also eat the area shaded in red. So as you can see, all of us, for all of us, our pizza has been cut or divided into different number of parts, but as you notice in the picture, in the end, all of us ate half the pizza. The only difference is that the slices were smaller for the person who asked for the pizza to be cut into 8 than for the person who asked for the pizza to be cut just in half. So these represent an equivalent fraction. So guys, now that we have and know the vocabulary for fractions, we are going to apply it to an exercise. Here in your screen, you see the fraction 1/4 plus 1/8. So let's practice vocabulary first. In the first fraction, 1/4 or 1/4, we have the denominator being the number at the bottom, a number 4, and the numerator is the number at the top, 1. In the second fraction, 1/8 or 1/8, we have a denominator 8, the number at the bottom, and a numerator 1. So what we have here is an unlike denominator. The two numbers at the denominators are different. So we need to change that. We need to find common denominators. We must have the same number. To do it, we will find the multiples of these two numbers. So we will work with the multiples of 4 and the multiples of 8. So let's get on to it. We're going to start off with the multiples of 4. Multiples are all the numbers that can be a product of 4. So we are going to use the multiplication fact for 4. We will start, by the way, we don't need to go all the way through 10. Sometimes it will be enough if we stop at 5. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. I'm gonna stop right there. I could go on using the multiplication fact, but it might not be necessary, so I'll just stop. Next, I'm going to do the same thing for the number 8. So I'm going to look for all the multiples of 8. I could either use the multiplication fact like I did for 4, or I could simply skip count by 8. So I'll try that way with this one. So I'll start by 8, then I skip count to 16, 24, and I could easily go on, but it's not necessary because you might have noticed that we found a common multiple. So that number 8 is in both 4 and 8. That is going to be our least common multiple, the number that we are going to use. So I'm going to rename the fraction. I'm going to rewrite them, having 8 as their denominator. There we have it. Okay, and now I need to find the new numerators. And to find the new numerators, I can use multiplication. So if you look at the multiples of 8, if you look at the number 4, 4 times 2 would equal 8. So I'm going to multiply here times 2, and everything I do with my denominator, I will repeat for my numerator. So I'll be multiplying both these numbers by 2. And if I go down and look for 8, well, then it's 8 times 1 that equals 8. So I'm going to multiply these number 8 times 1. And again, the same thing I did with my denominator, I will repeat for the numerator. Now I'm ready to find my answers. So now I'm going to solve this multiplication exercise. Multiplying the numerators, 1 times 2 equals 2. And once again, the other numerator, 1 times 1 equals 1. Once I've done these, all that's left for me to do is add. And the only numbers I'm going to add are my numerators. The denominator I will simply copy. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And I will copy the denominator 8. So 1 over 4, or 1/4, plus 1/8 equals 3/8. Okay, guys, just to be sure that we're clear, we are going to do another example. So I'm going to have a second fraction, 5/12 plus 1/4. Okay, so same procedure, okay? The first thing we notice is that our denominators are different. So we have unlike denominators. The first fraction we have a 12, in the second fraction we have 4. So we need to find common denominators. To do so, I will find the multiples of 12 and the multiples of 4. We actually have worked with the multiples of 4 down here, so it won't be necessary for me to do it again. So I will only look for the multiples of 12 because I already have the multiples of 4. I repeat. So as I told you, I could go up to 5 if necessary. So I'll start using either the multiplication fact, 12 times 1, or simply skip counting by 12. So there we have 12, 24, 36, and we could continue going, but we won't because I just found a common multiple. We have here 12, and up here we also have a number 12. So that's the number that I'm going to use as a common denominator. So I'll copy it. The common denominator between these two fractions is 12. Once I have it, I'll start my the rest of the procedure. So I'll teach you another way of doing it, different from the one we did before. This for you to decide which is the easiest way for you to do it, and you use that way. So in this case, we are going to divide the denominator. Okay, we divide it. So 12 divided by 12 equals 1. And that quotient, we are going to multiply it by the numerator. So 1 times 5 equals 5. I'm going to do the same thing for the fraction in the bottom. I will divide the two denominators. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And that number, I'm going to multiply it by the numerator. So I will have 3 times 1, which is 3. Now that I have renamed my fractions, all I have to do is add. Just like in the previous example, we will only add the numerators because our denominators are the same, so we will only copy the denominators. So here we have that 5 plus 3 equals 8. And we copy the denominator 12. So here we have that 5 twelfths plus 1/4 equals 8 twelfths. This fraction could be simplified because 8 and 12 have a common factor. The common factor between 8 and 12 is 4. So to simplify it, we would have to divide both numerator and denominator by 4. So if we do so, we have here that 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So either answer will be correct. If we are asked to simplify, then we go all the way. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. Let's stay positive, and once again, I remind you, as every week, practicing math is the only way to master it.